Which generation is the best?
Tap in to find out.
Yeah. Tap in. You already know what it is. You already know what it is. Tap in, come vibe for a minute. Two friends talking life, yeah, we really just living. From anime fights to the games we be winning. If it's nerdy or funny, yeah, you know we get in it. No script, no plan, just vibes in the mic. 1 minute we deep, next minute we hype. Debating who's strongest, who wins in a fight. Then switch to real life, like you good, you alright, ayy. Whatever you into, we talking about it. So tap in, and let's get it. Tap in, you already know what it is.
Welcome to the Tap In Conversation podcast. I'm Joby.
And I'm Kobe.
And today we're going to talk about the different generations from your baby boomers to Gen Z and everything in between. How are you doing today, Kobe?
I'm doing excellent, man. How about yourself, Joby?
I am fantastic, actually. It's been a wonderful week. The title of today's episode is The Generation Conversation. Like we mentioned at the forefront of the episode, we're going to be talking about the different generations, which one's better, which ones lack that cultural impact, you could say.
I already know who's the best one. It's the Millennials.
It's definitely the millennials, and getting into that, me and Kobe are both millennials, obviously. I'm a little bit later in the millennial generation. I'm 95, so I'm a year before the cutoff. How about yourself?
I am actually was born 91, so I was a year right. Actually, did the millennial part start?
It started in 1980.
1980? Yeah, I was born 1991.
Yeah, and one of the weird things about being a millennial is we got to experience older technology like dial-up internet, and we get to experience newer stuff like fiber optics. So we're kind of in between. We're kind of that transitional generation.
Technology that see, once you brought up dial-up, that just took me to a place where I would have to tell my mom to stay off that phone after 9 o'clock so I can be on the internet and just be on AOL's on the messenger part.
Oh, for sure. I remember looking at my older brother's AOL chats and, him just totally getting mad that I was invading his privacy, and very, very fair of him to be mad at that.
No,
But
I definitely would say 90s was a time. I love the 90s, being a millennial, just experiencing a lot of the pre-technology stuff that we have to go through or went through to get to this point right now in the later 2000s, basically.
right, and it's amazing, how much technology has changed since we've been alive. Like, look at music, for example. We come from a time where we'd get the latest CD, put it in our CD player, and hope it doesn't skip on the school bus, to being able to stream live music and, create your custom playlist to like Spotify, Apple Music. And just going to plug ourselves real quick. That's also where you can listen to the Tap In Conversation podcast. But
Mhm.
it is crazy how quickly and how drastically technology has changed.
It's very drastic, and I feel like it changes more like each year. Like something new is always coming out, just like the iPhones. Every year they have a new iPhone that's better than the last previous one, and somehow slows down the older models of them.
Don't even get me started on the iPhone. It's great. I'm an Apple user myself, but I think a new phone every year is a little ridiculous. I feel like they can be
Hmm.
putting out better quality products if they take maybe a research and development year, maybe take a year or two off in between phones.
I definitely agree because they pump these new phones every year, and I'm honestly still on the 15 Pro Max Plus, and I'm probably not going to change it for another year or two because my phone's still it's running smoothly. I can still make calls, texts, and take pictures and listen to music still on it.
Exactly. You know the old phrase, if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Amen to that.
But getting into the generations, each generation does have its own quirks, its own personality, its own culture. When you look at the 80s, hair bands and disco and roller rinks and whatnot, to the 90s when you got your grunge bands, and then, the skating scene kind of got big. And then into the 2000s where the emo scene absolutely blew up. What are some of the biggest changes you've noticed, being a millennial, seeing Gen Z and now Gen Alpha?
It might be kind of controversial, but I would say kind of maybe the work ethic a little bit. I know our generation, yeah, we didn't like to work, but we still put in a lot of effort to get to where we at like right now. And I think the newer gen where they kind of have everything kind of like spoon fed and they just have a easier way of like getting to it. I think that kind of like slows them down in a way where it makes them a little bit lazier versus the older gens where we have to like get it and like work for it to get where we are at right now versus the newer gen where everything just kind of comes off a little bit easier, where they can grasp it more better, but just kind of slows them down where it makes them a little bit lazier because they just kind of have like the handout of just, hey, like I want this, so my hand's out, so just put it in my hand, like basically.
For the first time in our podcast history, we don't have a long one, but for the first time, I have to disagree with you. I wouldn't say lazy per se. I would
Okay.
say that technology in the world around us has made it easier.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't correlate that to them being lazy. I would correlate that to
Right.
younger people taking advantage of the world around them. Like, hustle culture is so big now. So big. People going out, doing DoorDash, Uber Eats, Uber, Lyft, whatever. There's all these little side hustles that we didn't have back then. And not only,
Yeah, that is true.
these gig apps, there's the selling culture, the reselling culture through like trading cards, or people rummage through garage sales and resell stuff on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. So I wouldn't say it's easy, or excuse me, I wouldn't say it's them being lazy. I would just say they're taking advantage of, what's available to them. And it's kind of hard to knock somebody for that, I think.
Yeah, that is true. I hate that I guess started saying that they were lazy. I will take that back because I won't say that they're lazy. I will say that yes, they do have it easier where technology is more in effect in in like our day-to-day life where everything is just right there in our faces. So they do have the opportunity of taking advantage of getting a lot stuff more quicker and more efficient, not lazy. I hate that I said that they were lazy.
No, you're good, dude. And to add on to that, it's like, the accessibility we have through social media or through these little tiny computers in our pockets. It makes the world a smaller place, truly. And we're able to connect with one another like we've never been able to before.
Because I remember growing up, probably like in middle school, maybe even like beginning of like high school, where the phones wasn't as accessible the way that it is now, where it's text, you can ping somebody, FaceTime, video chat, anything now. But I remember probably back in middle school where it was the old fashioned way. If you're trying to talk to somebody in class or anything, you just take out a piece of paper, you write a little note, and you would hope and pray that that note gets to that person that you're trying to talk to, or you just happily, if they're right there next to you, you're just like, hey, here's this note, and then y'all just be passing the same note back and forth throughout the period.
Right. And there's always that fear that that teacher's going to confiscate it, make you read it out loud. Oh my God. Going back to the phones thing, I remember telling all my friends and even some family, do not text me until after 9 when my minutes are free. Because used to,
Hmm.
when me and Kobe were younger, we'd have to pay for our text messages.
Man, that was a time. And every minute counted too, because yeah, if it wasn't after 9 o'clock, do not call, do not text. I want to save my minutes as much as possible because I remember even texting, it ate up your minutes so fast. And I forgot how many texts that you sent out that it just start chomping down your minutes. And I remember it was like, oh, you're at like 99 minutes. I'm like, oh, I need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, and then Once you used your minutes, that was it. Unless contacted the brick and mortar store and be like, "Hey, I need to add more minutes to my plan," and it didn't. It wasn't too cost friendly back then either.
That, or do you remember going into the stores and you hope and pray that they have your the card that you need to add more minutes to it? Depending on the location, I would have to fight at the stores to pray and hope, like, please have this here so I can add minutes to my phone because I'm not about to be able to talk to nobody for like maybe like a week or two.
So now let's talk about some other generational differences. One thing I did want to ask you, I thought this was a very interesting concept, and I wrote some answers down myself. If each generation
Okay.
got one actor to define that generation, who would it be? And for the millennials, I wrote down two. I wrote down Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio because them guys were in everything. What say you?
Let's see. For the millennials, I really did like that. You kind of picked one of my answers because I would also say Brad Pitt, because he's also been in everything, but I don't want to use the same answer. I probably would say one of them might be like Denzel Washington, even though he is a little bit in the older generations. I do remember him in the 90s, a little bit in the early and like the late 90s when he did still play a lot of like different films and stuff that was like coming out. I would say maybe Will Smith also too in that mix. I
Yes,
grew up
yes.
on Will Smith, Independence Day, Men in Black 1 and 2. I'm trying to think of the show,
Uh,
Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Like the
yes.
list could just go on with that man.
So I was a huge Fresh Prince fan. And then I found out he was actually a musician. So I used to listen to him and DJ Jazzy
Mm,
Jazz all the time. Like Parents Just Don't Understand is one of my favorite 90 anthems. And I can't believe I didn't think of Will Smith as being one of our millennial actor icons.
he really put out some good songs back then. Like he has some bangers.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I grew up with like Get Jiggy with It. Like
Hmm.
every time I hear that, I'm like, na 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 na, Get Jiggy with It. Like he has some good songs growing up, and then when he really went from the music aspect and going into the movie and acting, thought it was phenomenal. Like I to like still to this day, I could watch Independence Day on like repeat.
Independence Day is a good
So like
one.
such a good movie.
Have you seen Hitch?
Oh, that is a good one. Yes, I love Hitch.
There's a gentleman named Chance McCrae. He's part of the Smosh cast, which is a YouTube
Right.
channel. They do sketches and play games and all kinds of cool stuff. Everybody should check them out. They're really funny. But he wrote and directed a Hitch musical, and it is phenomenal.
Really?
Yes, I will have to find the stream for you if I can find the stream and send you the link. It's definitely worth the watch.
I'm definitely gonna have to look into that because I didn't know that this person made like a whole like yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out now. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, and just for our listeners, his name is Chance McCrae. You can find him at Smosh. Really funny channel. I highly recommend it. I've been watching since I was a teenager.
Well shoot, now you're about to get a new subscriber.
A couple other actors I will throw in there for those 90s millennial icons. I'll have to say Robin Williams.
A lot of good ones. I loved
Yes.
him in Lubber, the movie Hook.
Hmm.
Was him playing Mrs.
Mrs.
Double
Doubtfire.
Fire, right?
Yes, yes,
Or yeah,
yes.
Doubtfire. Okay, okay.
That was a good one as well.
Yeah, he plays some really good movies. He plays some good movies.
And I got to thinking about the newer generation, like Gen Z, Gen Alpha. What would their icons be? And immediately came to mind was Timothy Chalamet, who's in pretty much every movie that comes out now, or Glenn Powell even.
Hmm. Ooh, I didn't think about Glenn Powell. That's another good answer. I didn't think about him.
Right, and even the actresses like Jenna Ortega or Sydney Sweeney. These actors and actresses,
Mm,
they're in pretty much every movie that comes out. You can guarantee one of them is at least.
yeah, especially Jenny or Ortega. Ever since her being in Wednesday and then being in the Scream movies, yeah,
Hmm.
that girl's being in everything.
Oh yeah. For baby
Let's
boomers,
see.
I have written down Burt Reynolds. The Mustache Man was in many movies and television shows back then.
The mustache, hairy chest man,
Yeah. One of
as
his
my mom would
movies.
say.
What would be maybe give me the top two or three bands or musicians that define each generation?
Um, mm, that's a good one. You said for each generation,
Yeah. Like Gen X, I automatically think Michael Jackson, of course.
of course.
Or even millennials, he was big in the 80s as well. Like early millennials was like Michael Jackson, Prince, those guys.
Let's see. For me, I would say in the '90s, big on Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
Um, I would say for me, like the '90s, R&B was really heavy in in my household. So I heard a lot of Michael Jackson here and there, Janet Jackson, Keith Sweat, um,
Key Sweat,
Prince, as you
nobody.
said.
Sorry.
Mm.
Yeah, all phenomenal bands and musicians. Some others that come to mind, especially in the R&B genre, would have to be like All for One or and
See.
Boys to Men. Boys to Men was the other one that was really big.
Okay, I'll, I was gonna say Boys to Men, Blackstreet, Stevie
Hmm.
Wonder, Usher. When I was a little bit older in the '90s, but I was still old enough to listen to Usher, and
Hmm.
oh my gosh, I remember my dad gave me no, my mom bought that CD for me, and then I think my dad bought my first Crisscross album. It was a rap group. I
Hmm.
forgot how old they were. I think they were maybe like 10 or 11, maybe 12. But they were these little rap group, and they will wear their clothes like
Hmm.
the opposite way. So when you see them, they'd be like crisscross, and like they had like their hit smash called Jump,
Yeah,
and
I
that
remember
song I
Jump.
would say was like a hit. Yeah, like that was a good song. Come on in, jump, jump,
And
jump, jump.
it was definitely a number one hit for a long time. I remember, and Crisscross kind of paved the way into some of the Gen Z early rappers like uh, Bow Wow and what was the other one? There's Little Bow Wow,
Um,
Little Romeo.
it was yep, Little Romeo, yep.
So Crisscross was kind of that precedent. He kind of paved the way for Little Bow Wow, Little Romeo. And I remember sitting there watching like their music videos and like Jesse McCartney, and I'm just like, these kids are like around my age and more talented.
Yeah, like I would say when Bow Wow hit the scene, I was like, ain't no way this little 8, 9-year-old kid hitting the scene and having like the most hit songs back to back to back at this age and just continuously making money and then going to making movies on top of that too. I was like, ain't no way. Like this is crazy.
Oh, for sure. And
My name is New because I wear the new.
it's amazing how a generation that comes after can take this source of media, whether it's a movie or a TV show or a musician, and they take their influence from it, but form it and mold it into what's culturally popular in the current generation.
Like in a way of kind of being like a trailblazer, just doing their own thing, like not really necessarily copying, but getting getting inspiration from it, but making it its own way out of it and just making like a trailblaze out of it.
Exactly. Like, going back to musicians, Whitney Houston walked so Beyonce can run as far as, having that power ballad
Mhm.
voice.
Rest in peace to Whitney. That
Absolutely.
is a voice that nobody could ever replicate at all. Same as like Mariah Carey, another good voice from like the '90s too, where
Hmm.
just singing like these whistle notes that nobody never heard before until she did it, and they were like, "What is this?" And they decided to call it like the whistle note, where you just hit this note that sounds like a whistle, and she kind of like started the whole whistle note pioneer thing. Because now you got Ariana doing it, you got certain other singers that can do it too, but a lot of times, um, ones that come to mind when it's the whistle note is Mariah Carey and, like, Ariana Grande. It's, like, the main 2 ones that for me that you want a singer that's gonna, like, sing, okay, let's get Mariah Carey, let's get, Ariana Grande. If Whitney was still here, she would've been just singing her, like, head off, just boom, like, right there.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And it just goes back to what we're saying is that each generation takes inspiration from the generation before, but makes things their own.
See, now we talking about singers, now I'm going through my brain of, like, all the singers right now,
One that comes
like
to
Luther
mind,
Vandross.
one that comes to mind for me from like the 2010s would have to be Sia. The one that sings like Chandelier.
Ooh, yeah, she can really sing too. I do love Sia. Chandelier, Titanium.
Hmm.
Trying to think what else. Has another song that I do like too. But those 2 songs, especially Chandelier, she just hits that note. I'm like, yes, just keep it right there. Keep that note right there, please.
Yeah, it's just like those power ballads that have like super high highs and super low lows. It's makes for good music. It really does. And now we're going to talk about some of the different video games to the generations. So in the 70s, Pong came out. It was on this little bitty wood finished box, had like 2 paddles that came with it, and it was the simplest of simple of video games. You had 2 little rectangles on either side of the screen and a little ball, and your goal was it was like air hockey but 2D,
Mhm.
and it really set a precedent for in-home video games because back in the day, back before me and Kobe's time, you would have to go down to the arcade, throw your quarters in there, or I guess it was maybe nickels. I don't know the exchange rate, but I guess you'd have to pay money for these little arcade games and hope you kept the high score and hope the power didn't turn off and delete your high score. To this in-home entertainment system, these video games, and it became even more popular throughout the 80s with Atari, and then the 90s when
Mhm.
Sega and Nintendo were throwing their hat in the ring and building these amazing at-home consoles. And now look what we have today with the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch, even VR. If you would have told me when I was like 5 years old in the year 2000 that one day we could put a headset on and play video games with just our eyes and our hands in a VR headset, I would say you're crazy. I would say that's like a Futurama episode or something, but that's how far the technologies came as far as video games.
No, I agree. I said technology has definitely came a long way, a whole long way. Because I would never imagine in this time period right now where we can just be at home, you can either put in the game or if you have it already downloaded on your console and just turn it on and just start playing or put on your headset, your VR, anything that ties with the game itself. I would never thought that we get to this point right here, and who knows what would happen in another like 10 or 20 years that we might actually be in these video games how they are in like Futurama where you can actually see the game and actually be in it, feel everything like in that space for it.
Right. As long as people keep developing and keep having these creative mindsets, who knows? The possibilities are limitless. I remember, as a kid, early teenager, going to these midnight releases at GameStop. For those who don't know, it's literally in the name. So a huge video game comes out, usually like a Call of Duty or a Halo or something along those lines, and you would go to GameStop or Rhinos or your local game store and they would release it at midnight on the day it came out. So you'd have to get home, probably download an update or two, and then you're able to play. But nowadays, you can go ahead and pre-order the game on your console, have it pre-downloaded, so when release day comes, you're able to just pop a quick update and get into the game quickly.
And that right there still is just how far technology has like came so far. Even though I think the last time I went into store to pre-order the game, I think the last game to pre-order at a GameStop for me, I probably would say would been which Pokemon game was that? I think it was Sword and Shield maybe, and that was probably like the last one that I've actually went to the store after midnight, pre-order it, went home, start downloading it, have it all ready so I can start playing when I get off work, like the next day.
Right, and that's funny coincidence. My last physical pre-order was probably like Pokemon Ultra Sun for the 3DS. So that was wow, well over a decade ago. I imagine now.
Yeah, and that's still a fun Pokemon game too. Hopefully, most of our listeners are Pokemon fans just like us. I love me some Pokemon.
Gonna get a little sidetracked here, but screw it. It's our show. We can do what we want, right? um,
hmm
what's your favorite in like mainline Pokemon game?
I probably will go to the older generations.
Hmm.
I probably would say Pokemon Yellow, like Pokemon Red or Blue. How about this? I'll try to do like top three.
Yeah, let's do top
I
three.
probably would say my third. I probably would say it would be the newer generations. I probably would say it would be Pokemon Sword or Shield. My second one would be Sapphire or Ruby. That when those came out, and then my number one will probably be like Pokemon Yellow or like Blue.
All solid choices. I mean, there's not really a bad mainline game. In my opinion, there's not, at least. My number three, I would have to give it to Ultra Sun. It was just, it really built off the first Sun game. You know, you're able to actually go through the wormholes and,
Oh yeah, and like as much like you keep on going deeper and deeper until you end up possibly towards like a legendary, I think it was
yeah,
in that one.
you can get like legendary Pokemon or some of the even more rare Ultra Beast. It was a pretty cool concept. Number two, I would have to say Pokemon Yellow. It was one of my favorites because it was like the first Pokemon game where you can get like all three starters and Pikachu. You can just have this whole nostalgia team. You're basically living out Ash's journey. And then my number one would have to be Pokemon Emerald. Just because Hoenn probably my favorite region. It was my favorite game. The box legendaries were phenomenal. Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza,
hmm
excuse me. And then, getting Deoxys as well in the events. But yeah, that would have to be my three.
I kind of miss getting Deoxys. I think I missed that one sadly, so I never got a chance to really play with them. But I've always loved Deoxys too. I think its design and just it has four other forms that it can go to, like its attack form, defense, speed. I think it was like a special
Hmm.
form or something, but just its whole design, like this cool looking DNA looking alien just in outer space, just chilling until it sees Rayquaza about to hit it with a hyper beam, like up close.
And that beef, it was on site too. It was on site.
Right. The Pokemon, this is probably sidetracking our conversation a little bit, but
Hmm.
the beefs in the Pokemon in general, like the movies, I'm
Hmm.
like, y'all just have like the most craziest beefs I've ever seen. Like, I'll still never forget when Ash, I think in the first Pokemon movie where he was trying to square up with Mewtwo, I was like, you're trying to fight a whole Pokemon that could just obliterate you. Like, this is
Dude, he was
crazy.
he was going in fists first though. He wasn't backing down.
His first,
That's,
he was trying to be like One Punch Man, just trying to end that Pokemon.
that was wild. And
Then
like the Hoenn series, or no, I think it was the Diamond and Pearl series. Yeah, Diamond and Pearl series, where like Brock would be like flirting with like a Nurse Joy or like a Officer Jenny.
oh, Krogunk every
Krogunk,
time he
yeah.
hits him with poison jab.
He had to keep his trainer in check, man.
Them Pokemon did not play, and I'm like, you're taking poison jab in the back every time, and I don't know how you still are surviving this. Like, it's crazy.
My boy had a
Like I don't
quick
know how he
recovery.
did that every time. Well, it was just as worse because Jesse at one point he had Victory Bell. Every time he bring out Victory Bell, it always wanted to like chew on his head like every time and like just scream.
And also later on, what was that? It was like the new generation of Victory Bell. It was Cat.
Ah,
You know what I'm talking about? Carnivine, or something like that.
Oh yeah, Connor. Yeah, I think his name was Connor Vaughn.
But I remember he would
I
always
think.
like clamp on to Jesse as well. And that goes back to, this whole conversation we just had. That goes back to what we've been talking about, that each generation builds off one another, refines it, makes it their own. Like, we had the OG Pokemon in the 90s. And then as the years and decades gone by, it's evolved to this massive, massive franchise. Video games, TCGs, the anime's still going strong. So
Mhm.
it's crazy that we can just keep these medias, these IPs going generation through generation.
And I think another one that's also standing at the stands of time is probably Digimon too. They have so many shows going on with Digimon, the games, the toys. It's another one that I feel like they can still keep on making more Digimons until maybe 10 or 20 more years from now, maybe even like 30 if we're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, look at what they've done, even from season to season or series to series. They changed some of the mechanics in such a way where, yeah, you're still getting the core Digimon. They're still digivolving. They're still creatures. But the mechanics are changing enough to keep the story fresh.
I think one of the best ones that they ever did it with Digimon is when I think it was season 4, when they actually became the Digimon, where they took the spirit evolutions and the beast evolutions and actually became the Digimon spirit itself. I think that was one of the best ones. And for our listeners, if y'all haven't seen Digimon, what was the name of that one? Was it Digimon, not
It,
Frontier, but
I believe it was Frontiers.
was it Frontiers?
So I pulled my phone out just to check. It was Frontiers.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah, if y'all have not seen Frontiers, I recommend y'all watching that. It was a really, really good season. I know some people didn't like it. I guess the aspect of them becoming the Digimon, but I think that was a really good way to have them understand of being a Digimon and going to the digital world and seeing these different Digimons and actually learning their culture and just seeing their day-to-day lives and seeing when they get scanned and like their DNA is getting scanned either from like the bad guys or if one of them are using them to be scanned, you can see of like all of its whole entirety of that world of being like a Digimon. I really, really love that season.
It definitely was a good season. It was probably top three in my opinion.
All right. And this part of the segment is going to be the trivia part. And we're going to be talking about different generations.
I did go 5 for 6 last week, so I hope you up the ante this time.
I hope so too, because you was getting them last week. I was like, dang, he's getting every single one of them right. Just only missed one of them. So for the first question, I feel like you should get this one right because we have talked about this earlier in the segment earlier. What video game went mainstream?
I mean, lots of video games that went mainstream.
Okay,
Like the
so
first
with
one?
this
Are you looking
one,
for like the first one or like
yeah,
the?
like the main first one, like which video game went mainstream, like the main first one.
Oh, okay, my bad, my bad. I would have to say what's considered the very first video game, and that's Pong in the 70s.
That one's correct.
1 for 1.
It was a popular game on the Atari, 1972. It was widely considered the first mainstream video game designed by Alan Alcorn.
Oh, nice. I did not know that.
See, what's another good one? I'm trying to see if I can like trip you up a little bit. Okay, so this next one, who developed the first video game, Tennis for Two?
I'm trying to think of like early developers, because a lot of times I will get like developers and publishers mixed up when talking about a game. I'm just gonna go with my gut and say Atari.
So, let me read it one more time. Who developed the first video game, Tennis for Two? This one was a person.
Oh, a person. I have no clue, to be honest.
So this person's name was William Heighton Botham, if I butcher your last name. I do apologize. He was a physicist in the 1958 in Brooklyn Haven National Laboratory. And this was basically to cure the visitors' boredom for inventing the tennis for two.
I've actually had done some research on like how video games are used for like psychotherapy to help cure like anxiety and depression and such. So that's pretty cool.
When I was looking at this one, I thought it was really interesting because I was like, he's just a basically a physicist that invented something to help people just for like out of boredom back in the 1958. Like I thought that was really really cool.
Right, that's like Neil deGrasse Tyson making Halo. That's pretty cool.
You're right.
Combat evolved.
And see now you want me to play Halo. I Halo was such a game. That was a time to live back then was Halo on the Xbox.
Oh yes, for sure.
So for the next question, let's see. There's two choices on this one. Out of these two, which one is is older, Pac-Man or Tetris?
So my thought process behind this is, Tetris came out with every copy of the OG Game Boy. There's a whole movie about it. You guys should check it out. But it was a very great marketing strategy, and Tetris is the number one selling game of all time. But Pac Man is an arcade game. Arcade predates consoles, both handheld and in home. So I'm going to go with Pac Man.
You got that one right. Nice, very nice.
Two for three, 2 for 3.
Make it a little harder on you, it looks like. Okay, this one is going to tied with the older generation's slang.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this one's going to I'm not really trying to give it away too much, but it's going to tied back into like the 16th hundreds to like the 18th hundreds in that like time frame.
Okay.
And this one is a multi-choice. So this one will say, what was the first slang word in the world? You have eight thieves. Thieves can't. B, cully. C, which is flam. And then you have D, which is kin.
I have never heard of any of
Which
these
ones?
terms. I thought you were going to say like scallywag or something. Um, let's see. Can you give me the first and second word again?
So for the question, I mean the answers for them.
Yes, please.
So for A, this one's going to be thieves can't, and cully.
I'm going to go with B, Cully.
Yeah, you got that one right.
3 for 4.
Okay.
Look at me. Look at me.
You're supposed to get these wrong, Joby.
My bad. We will re-record them and I will say the wrong answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Can you name four Southern drunk slangs? This is another like oldie type of slangs also too.
Okay. As someone that lives in the South, I've probably heard these terms many, many times. I'm gonna say hammered is one. I've heard hammered a lot.
Okay, that's one of them.
Uh, Another, I guess it's kind of basic, is wasted. Wasted is another term I've heard a lot.
So I would say think of like oldie like old western type style like slangs. I would say for like this one.
Okay. So hammered. Isn't barreled one like you've been barreled? Or am I tripping? Maybe not
I feel
barreled.
like that is. I probably seen it on one of the lists, but I didn't write that one down.
Hammered's really the only
So
one I
you're
can legit think of. Woozy? I don't know. I don't know. I give up on this one.
So I'll give you the other three. So you said hammer for one of them. I would say another one is called drunker than Cooter Brown,
What the?
and this one is this one is this one refers to a legendary figure from the Civil War, where he usually stayed intoxicated to avoid fighting. And then another one is full as a tick.
I've heard that one, but
This
it's mainly like, after you eat your big Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah. Yeah, they had this one with the drunken slangs. This one is just meaning someone is just drunk to the point of being bloated with like alcohol. And then I'll give you one more. This one is called slop, polluted, and juice. Just meaning describing someone really went sorry, describing someone that's really under the influence.
Say that phrase one more time.
Slopped, polluted, and juice. Just describing someone that is under the influence.
Why does that sound like an underground Lil Wayne album title?
Listen, that could have been a whole mixtape, honestly.
Dude, I could hear it now. So we
Lil
got
Wayne, if
London
you
on
hear
the
this right
track.
now, like we need our 1%, our 1%. If you hear that right now, I am like manifesting that right now. He could just put it on a whole mixtape.
Slopped in Juice featuring
Slot
Rick
polluted and
Ross.
juice. We need our 5%. 5%.
We'll take that royalty check.
And actually, I'll throw one more in just for like shits and giggles.
Let's
This
do
one
it.
is called High-eyed and Cockeyed. This one is just a older term of meaning being very drunk.
Nice, nice. Some of these I didn't know. A lot of these I didn't know. So that makes me what, 3 for 5? Not too bad today.
3 for 5. Mm-mm. No, you definitely need like knowing your stuff. Like I really just gonna have to keep you up on your toes a little bit.
Absolutely. And whenever we come up with our theme for the weekly episode, I'll have to dig into my research and try to learn the stuff I don't know.
Mm-mm. No, that's the whole point. Like once you talk about what we're going to be talking about, and I'm already doing my research of like, okay, let's make this kind of hard where you're not going to at least not know the answers for them.
Fair enough. Well, I'll give it another shot for next week's trivia. Well, that's all we have time for the Tap In Conversation podcast. No matter what generation you fall into, we hope you enjoyed this show.
And you can also find us on these apps as well if you're a millennial. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Amazon Music, I believe, and now also on YouTube finally.
Absolutely. So check us out and tap in. Remember, love above hate.
Also remember peace, love, and positivity.
Bye now.
Yeah. Tap in. You already know what it is.